Alright. So, back in business, I guess. What I can tell, should be working right. Alright. And this chair is very creaky. Alright. So, more voice acting practice. This one is from Treasure of the Sierra Madre. Apparently it's a movie about gold. I don't know. I've never seen it. In a Tampico flophouse before a gold expedition began, grizzled prospector Howard Walter Houston delivered a wise description of gold fever, gold's worth, and the seductive, devilish lure of gold. He recalled his past gold quests all over the world, ending his tales of experience, when he witnessed what gold does to men's souls, by describing how the noble, friendly, and solid intentions of gold seekers always vanished after gold was discovered. Gold in Mexico? Why, sure there is. Not 10 days from here by rail and pack train, there's a mountain waiting for the right guy to come along, discover her treasure, and then tickle her until she lets him have it. The question is, are you the right guy? Real bonanzas are few and far between and take a lot of finding. Say, answer me this one, will you? Why is gold worth some $20 an ounce? 1,000 men, say, go searching for gold. After 6 months, one of them's lucky. One out of the 1,000. His find represents not only his own labor, but that of 999 others to boot. That's 6,000 months, 500 years, scrambling over mountains, going hungry and thirsty. An ounce of gold, mister. It's worth what it is because of the human labor that went into finding and getting of it. Well, there's no other explanation, mister. Gold itself ain't good for nothing, except for making jewelry with, gold teeth. Gold's a devilish sort of thing anyway. You start out to tell yourself you'll be satisfied with 25,000 handsome smackers worth of it. So help me Lord and cross my heart. Fine resolution. After months of sweating yourself dizzy and growing short on provisions and finding nothing, you finally come down to 15,000, and then 10. Finally you say, Lord, let me just find $5,000 worth and I'll never ask for anything more the rest of me life. Yeah, here in this joint, it seems like a lot, but I tell you, if you was to make a real strike, you couldn't be dragged away. Not even the threat of miserable death wouldn't keep you from trying to add 10,000 more. 10,000 more, and you'd want to get 25. $25,000, you'd want to get 50. $50,000, 100. Like a roulette. One more turn, you know always one more. I've dug in Alaska and Canada and Colorado. I was with the crowd in the British Honduras where I made my fare back home, and almost enough to cure me of the fever I'd caught. Dug in California and Australia, all over the world practically. Yeah, I know what gold does to men's souls. That's gold. That's what it makes us. Never knew a prospector yet that died rich. Make one fortune, he's sure to blow it in trying to find another. I'm no exception to the rule. Sure, I'm a gnawed old bone now, but say, don't you guys think the spirit's gone? I'm all set to shoulder a pickaxe and shovel anytime anybody's willing to share expenses. I'd rather go by myself. Going it alone's the best way. But you gotta have a stomach for loneliness. Some guys go nutty with it. On the other hand, going with a partner or two is dangerous. Murderers always lurking about. Partners accusing each other of all sorts of crimes. As long as there's no to find, the noble brotherhood will last. But when the piles of gold begin to grow, that's when the trouble starts. Well, good for you. You hit your fortune. And that's all you needed, huh? Well, that was my practice for the day. Talking about gold in a game about Umineko. Somehow kind of fitting. Anyway, hello everybody. Hello and welcome. We last left off. Angie was going to Rokkenjima, talking to that mismatch man, Moxa. Summer lies talking to the witches, or sisters. She doesn't believe in magic, but she accepts that other people believe in it, which is why they can exist, and she's kind of a walking contradiction at this point. Then we went back into the past of 1986, or I think that's the year. And the family was discussing whether Kinzo was alive or not. And then he walked through the door. That causes problems with any theories we were going to craft. Anyway. Kinzo demands your attention. He will be heard and shall not be denied. Or something like that. And, welcomed by a respectful bow from those two, majestically fluttering his cape, Kinzo appeared. Kinzo's gait had a dignified weight to it, and it was hard to believe that he had reportedly been at the end of his life. Genji pulled back Kinzo's seat and motioned for him to sit. But Kinzo stayed standing, signaling with his chin for Genji to move back. Welcome to Rokkenjima, ladies and gentlemen. Why the frightened faces, Eva? No. Why would I be frightened? I'm just relieved to find you in excellent spirits, Father. Eva, you're as amusing as ever, aren't you? Why don't you just honestly say how frustrated you are at losing your bet with Kraus? You can't say it, can you? Eva realized that their conversation during the day had indeed been leaked to Kinzo, and she hung her head, turning red. Well then, my sons and daughters and their companions. Tonight, I shall make an important announcement regarding my inheritance, and the succession that you all seem so keen on. But first, I must tell you how incredibly disappointed I am. After all, until this very day, no one has been able to solve the riddle of the epitaph. Even though Kinzo said he was disappointed, a condescending smile rose to his face, as though there was no way the like of these could have solved it, and its gaze passed through all of them. I had planned to hand over everything to the one who could solve it. But none have been able to solve it before today, and here we stand, with nothing of mine passed down to anyone. How shameful! To think that not one of you among you has come forward with the qualifications to succeed me. How truly disappointing, and shameful, and pathetic. The siblings hung their heads in silence. Of course, they would have solved it if they could. True, they couldn't deny that they'd wasted a golden opportunity, but it was just so hard. Therefore, I am proclaiming here and now that I will suspend the use of the epitaph's riddle as a method of choosing my successor. In short, time's up. This is game over. And what a shame for you all. Even though it should have given you all an equal and fair chance. That's gone now. It truly sounded like Kinzo was making a victory proclamation. In that case, will my oldest son Kraus succeed the headship? The answer is no. What? You understand, right, Kraus? I certainly gave you the title of successor, but all you did was let it go to your head. Do you know what a successor is? It means the person who will inherit your position after you, Father. Wrong! The position of successor isn't something that's guaranteed by the current head at all. Listen up, Kraus. I won't tell you this again. A successor is what you call someone who finds everyone else who's after the headship, thoroughly breaks their noses, and makes it so they can never disobey him again. This is not only something that can be said of the headship, it's the same with money. A rich person doesn't mean someone who has money. It means someone who crushes everyone who had more money than himself, and who scrabbles together more money than anyone else. It's the same with talent. A genius is not what you call a person blessed with talent. It means a person who crushes everyone with more talent than themselves. A person who can coerce geniuses and all other people to call them that, using strength and charisma. You have a mistaken impression when it comes to all of these things. So, you aren't of the right caliber to be my successor. I'll take your words to heart. Perhaps that truly was Kinzo's philosophy. As a result of faithfully carrying out that rant-like philosophy of his, Kinzo had glorified the Ushirimiya family to the state it was in today. It may be hard to imagine after this immersion in the occult in recent years, but that brutally overbearing outlook was no more or less than Ushirimiya Kinzo's charisma and aura. Such an unsatisfactory person is not qualified to inherit everything of the Ushirimiya family. In that case, is Eva, Rudolph, or Rosa qualified? Again, no. You were unable to solve the riddle, and you were also unable to use a scheme to drag Kraus down. All the three of you managed to do was gather together in a united front to try and extort money from Kraus. And even that scheme was thoughtless. You can't even corner Kraus all by himself. There could be nothing more shameful. You lack the avarice to steal away the position of successor by any means. In order to get what you want, you should sacrifice everything, becoming as covetous and greedy as possible. The goddess of luck smiles upon the greedy. You three, who don't have that wild spirit, are as unfit for the succession as Kraus is. Even the rest had no words to respond with, and they couldn't calculate what it was Kinzo was about to say. Was Kinzo actually planning to proclaim that no one would succeed the headship? If so, that would work to Eva, Rosa, and Rudolph's advantage. After all, in the end, they just had to renegotiate everything among the siblings after Kinzo's death, splitting the inheritance evenly. It would surely be more troublesome if a specific person's name was raised and proclaimed to be the successor. But would Kinzo really say something to benefit any of the four siblings after demeaning them so much? You don't think he's gonna say that because no one will succeed him, he'll donate all of his fortune to charity or something, right? I'm afraid I wouldn't put it past Father. The blood's just risen to his head. We can't do anything but let him talk for now. Well then, Father, what thoughts do you have regarding the succession of the headship? Since I am so utterly disappointed in all of you, I've lost the desire to hand it over to anyone. Therefore, the Ushirimiya family will end here. It ends with my generation. That cannot... The Ushirimiya family was crushed long ago in that earthquake. The current Ushirimiya family is nothing but an illusion of gold I'm glimpsing for an instant, the likes of which will end when I awaken from my slumber. Everything in this world is a dream, an illusion. Life is but a daydream before the awakening called death. Yes, that's how it was from the beginning. That I should lose everything when I die was part of Beatrice's contract, and her curse. As if I'd let you, Beatrice. I will be the one who captures you. Tonight, that goal will be realized. For a while, Kinzo was overcome with cackling, and his eyes bulged. Whenever he talked about Beatrice, it was always both eloquent and insane. Foolish children such as yourselves truly are daydreams. It's as though you were never there from the beginning. Disappear. Wake up. Disappear from the doze of the truth that I am. You failures that have not built up anything that makes you worthy to succeed me. Kinzo-san, if I may. What is it, my friend? Nanjo nervously raised his hand, asking to speak. Kinzo allowed him to. I understand how you feel, Kinzo-san. Because you love your children, you expect a lot of them. And as a parent and grandparent myself, I understand how parental affection can make you feel as though your expectations were betrayed. However, you are extraordinary, Kinzo-san. A genius. Isn't saying that it's only natural for them to catch up to you a little too harsh? Despite that, Kraus-san, Eva-san, Rudolph-san, Rosa-san, and all of their partners have done their very best to catch up with you. Oh? And just how much money have they built up with this doing their best? After these cowards fail completely in ventures and gain debt, and still try to sponge off me, how can you say that they did their very best? Money is the crystallization of everything in this world. If you cannot grasp that, then you cannot grasp the world. If a lie cannot strongly grasp this world, it doesn't deserve to live. Disappear. Disappear from my life and reality. That's a reckless argument. With that logic, even I must not live. Even so, I believe the time I spent playing chess with you was worthwhile for both of us, Kinzo-san. You should know better than anyone else that there are many things in this world that cannot be bought with money. As the siblings motionlessly hung their heads, they cheered Nanjo on inside their hearts. Not one of the siblings could offer their opinion in front of Kinzo in a rage, but Kinzo's close friend Nanjo alone was allowed to. Even though Kinzo had raged so fiercely, after being admonished by Nanjo, he nodded several times as though in agreement. This surprisingly obedient side of him might have seemed cute, but there was no one here who could laugh. It may be true that your children haven't built up as great a fortune as you have, Kinzo-san. Though, even so, they're rich enough to make me jealous. But besides money, they have also built up many things that cannot be bought with money. When it comes to that, they are in no way inferior to you, Kinzo-san. And what do you claim they have built up that cannot be bought with money? Happiness. Family. They have found wonderful partners, had children, and each has built up their own happy homes. They have glorified your family name, and have brought back grandchildren. Grandchildren are wonderful. We older people can look at these young grandchildren who live on into a new era that we will not even be given a chance to see, and in them we can imagine an endless future. Isn't that the sole entertainment we have in our old age? Remember, Kinzo-san. Remember your joy when they first brought back their grandchildren. Your children and your grandchildren will carry your great works on to the future generations, setting an example. That is something that an individual cannot accomplish, no matter how much money they have. The siblings all nodded in agreement. Certainly, Kinzo had looked happy when his grandchildren had just been born, back when he still had some sanity in his heart. However, did Kinzo's heart still contain a human's warmth? In other words, in exchange for the vast riches I created, instead of gaining money, I have gained my grandchildren? No, that's not what I... So, in exchange for the several tens of billions in wealth that I have built up, I have gained a single grandchild from each of my children. This is wonderful. So, I have created a single life using 10 billion yen. That's how it is. Interesting. Truly an interesting example in the alchemical sense, right? What valuable grandchildren. Wonderful, wonderful. Is that right, Kraus? Is your daughter worth 10 billion yen? Kraus couldn't answer instantly. It wasn't that he didn't have confidence in his daughter. It's because he didn't have a clue what Kinzo was trying to test him with in this question. But when Natsuhi was then pressed for an answer, she responded, breaking Kraus' silence with an answer of her own interpretation. Yes, Jessica's your daughter. I wouldn't let it go of even for 10 billion yen. In that sense, I believe she has a value that can't be measured with money. Yeah. So you can state for certain that she's worth 10 billion. What about you, Eva? What about your George? Since Natsuhi had answered that way, Eva naturally came up with her own answer as well. Even though Eva should have known better than to respond to a provocative question like this, she answered as well. Yes, father. George is worth 10 billion. No, even more than that. And that's not in the abstract sense of things money can't buy. George will certainly build up a fortune equal to his worth. He'll become a grandson worthy of carrying your great works, father. Eva sent a glance at Hideyoshi and Natsuhi as if she'd scored a point. When she heard what Eva had said, Natsuhi was about to add more praise for her daughter, but stopped at a glare from Kraus. I see. Then what about you, Rudolph? What about your battler? Compared to Georgian, there's nothing about Battler I can brag about. If he was kidnapped and were threatened with a ransom of 10 billion, I'd feel like sticking a bout on the guy and letting them have him. On top of that, he's an idiot and reckless. He talks about grand dreams and things that couldn't be done. I guess in that way he's a super idiot worth the equivalent of 10 billion normal idiots. But I'm sure that guy could do things that even a group of 10 billion average people couldn't do. Well, I'm pretty sure he'll fall flat on his face. The world isn't easy. But at the very least, there's no doubt that watching over his life will be more fun than looking at 10 billion average people. Eva clicked her tongue at that clever style of speech, which would probably match Kinzo's tastes. Apparently, Rudolph had done that on purpose, so he grinned back at her. What of Maria? Maria's my adorable and only daughter. Her value cannot be measured with money. That is all. I see. Dreams in the future, miracles and possibilities are the source of my magical power. No magic without hopes holds my strength. I cannot expect any more from you who have proven to be average. But I see. My grandchildren hold future possibilities, and expecting a magical miracle from them may be worthwhile. If you're saying that, in this way, they are worth more than 10 billion. Yes, I can see where you're coming from. When Kinzo got in a rage, he wouldn't let anyone speak up. But even so, he would sometimes accept something on his own while yelling it by himself, and change his own opinion. That's what this felt like to the siblings. Apparently, even though Kinzo had been disgusted by his unsuccessful children, and had cast them away as being unfit for the inheritance of his title or his fortune, he wasn't sure about his grandchildren. At this rate, he might soon say that the inheritance would go to his grandchildren instead of the siblings. As the siblings sat in fear of what their fickle and short-tempered father might suddenly think of next, they carefully watched his every move. Let me change my thinking a little. I have absolutely no desire to hand over all I have to any of you. However, it will be quite interesting to question the grandchildren to see if one of them is qualified. I've always thought of them as mere kids, but there's a chance I'll find a shining gem amongst them that will catch me off guard. And testing them for that would be... Yes, it would be a shame to abandon that final side trip in my remaining life. Well then, what shall I do? I can, with confidence, recommend George to someone fitting to follow after you. Eva claimed that right away. Natsui looked like she was about to follow along, but Cross gave her a look telling her to restrain herself, so she swallowed her words. Oh, bold. Then, let us do this. I will individually question the grandchildren to see if they are qualified to succeed the Ushimiya family inheritance and wealth. Father, however, that does not mean that any of you will indirectly receive the inheritance. I am already disappointed in you all. There is no longer anything I have to give you. Not a thing. The ones I will question are my grandchildren, and the ones who might succeed me are my grandchildren. Make absolutely sure that you do not mistake this. Understood? I shall obey Father's decision. Same here. I'll go along with what he decides. What about you, Aniki? Of course. I believe Father will make a wise judgment. I will also obey Father's decision. I shall think of how to test my grandchildren, which means this is no longer any business of yours. After all, none of you are involved with the succession in any way now. So right here, right now, perhaps we should discuss a different matter that does involve you. A different matter? Indeed. That is tonight's true purpose, and the true purpose for this final Ushimiya family conference as well. I have no desire to hear your thoughts and opinions. I demand only your assistance. Assistance in my ceremony. Your ceremony? Quiet. Father's talking now. Rudolph and the rest had automatically narrowed their brows at the occult-like word. Could he be planning to start some strange ceremony involving Beatrice's resurrection again? Yeah? I'd bet money on it. And he wanted their assistance? What in the world was he planning to do? In the past, he had carried out many eccentricities that he called by the same name, such as starting to burn a strange incense and filling the whole mansion with a stench. To the siblings, the ceremony was nothing more than one of the aged Kinzo's obnoxious hobbies. Father, just what do you mean by that? If we can assist you, we'll do anything. Right, Rosa? Yes, but what in the world is it? The ceremony has inscribed in my epitaph, a ceremony to revive Beatrice and open the door to the Golden Land. That witch, who escaped her cage of flesh and sneeringly slipped through my fingers, I shall now capture and force into submission with my greatest hidden art. For that purpose, I must offer 13 people as sacrifices. Gathering 13 people's worth of sacrifices is no easy feat. But tonight is the family conference. Many adults have gathered on Rokkenjima. There could be no other day on which to carry out this ceremony. Taken literally, it sounded like he was telling them to become human sacrifices for his dark ceremony and die. Ridiculous. Was it some kind of metaphor? But they didn't even have a clue what he was trying to illustrate. The siblings whispered together about what Kinzo was saying. What's Dad going on about? Is this his usual sickness? Probably. Listen silently for now. I'm sorry, Father. I don't understand what you mean by that. What is it you don't understand? I am making this extremely simple. I told you that I'll choose 13 of the humans on this island and offer them as sacrifices in a ceremony to revive Beatrice. Duh. Even worthless people like you can be very useful as sacrifices in my ceremony. Listen. This is not a joke, nor anything of the sort. This is my final bet. My final ceremony, the last one I will desire in my life. There are now more than 13 humans on this island. In short, that's a head count that can easily satisfy the massive number of sacrifices I require. Become the sacrifices for my ceremony. Kinzo-san, you weren't serious about what you said back then, were you? It wasn't a joke? Unusually for him, Nanjo's face changed color as he stood up and shouted. It seemed this wasn't the first time Nanjo had heard all this dark talk about 13 sacrifices. Sorry, my friend. That was no joke, nor anything of the sort. It is what I bet my life on. The final ceremony. The final game that I will attempt. Yes, this is a game. If gaining my fortune and leaving the island is your goal, then there are only 2 ways to achieve it. Will you escape being chosen as one of the 13 sacrifices, and spectacularly survive, by finally solving the riddle of the epitaph and stopping the ceremony? Or will you kill me, and thereby stop this ceremony? Those are your only 2 options. By now, everyone wasn't just whispering, but chattering and muttering away. Even the siblings had noticed that Kinzo was beginning to act abnormally. Father, are you a little tired? Genji-san, has father been drinking? No. The master is sensible. Sorry, Dad. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Dad's free to start up any weird ceremony he wants to revive the witch he loves. That's his hobby. But getting wrapped up in that and being made into a human sacrifice is a little more than I can handle. Rudolph, are you trying to interrupt father? What are you talking about, Tanuki? You expect me to listen to something that shady and say, "Oh, really?" Was the ceremony Kinzo had mentioned literally something disturbing? Or was it some kind of test to choose a successor? It seemed that Rudolph had taken it literally, but Eva apparently still believed that it was something like a test or examination to find a proper successor. But Kinzo responded with a clear smile. Well then, that is all I have to say. No objections or opinions are necessary from you. I will simply awaken from my dream of having 4 unsuccessful children. To all of you, what will occur now before your very eyes may seem like a dream, an illusion, something that couldn't conceivably be of this world, and a world that defies understanding. But that itself is my reality. Now, I will finally awaken from the shallow, useless dreams that all of you are. Come, the game has already begun, see? With this many of you here, I can take lives starting with anyone. So long, my unsuccessful children, and for the final and only time in your lives, be useful for my ceremony. Arise, Pendragon's memorial troops! When Kinzo raised his arms high like an opera singer and yelled as though towards a packed audience, the air shattered like glass, and the outlines of 3 people who supposedly hadn't been invited to this island appeared. Chester, 45, right here. Chester, 410, right here. Chester, 0, right here, sir. 3 girls with strange forms suddenly appeared behind Kinzo. Where from? When? Who? Who were they? The humans were thrown off balance and their minds went blank. Because they spent all that time thinking, they lost their last chance to survive. You have permission to shoot 6 to death. I leave the choice of targets up to you. Begin your attack. Unrestricted firing. Understood, sir. Thank you for granting us such excellent targets. Everyone, commence unrestricted firing. First one in. Yeah. And 410 scratched the air with her fingers. A golden bow appeared in empty space, and she pulled its string. The golden arrow that had been ready there was fired off without any hesitation, flew around the room, leaving haphazard gold curves everywhere, and chose Natsuhi from among those sitting at the table of the family conference, pulverizing the left half of her face. Flesh and deep red blood scattered around, leaving massive red spatter marks on the relatives' faces and the pure white tablecloth. Silence fell. Despite the massive number of deep red spots left on the tablecloth, no one could understand why Natsuhi's head was half smashed, nor why she was hanging her head as though dozing while still sitting, and they watched on in silence. Those sitting on Natsuhi's right-hand side were silent for a relatively long time, but those sitting to her left were not, because the people sitting on that side had been shown how her head had been smashed open like a watermelon or a pomegranate, and could even see inside her. Natsuhi. One down. Natsuhi, is it? A luckless woman to the end. Next. 0. Firing. After scratching the empty air in the same way and readying her bow, 0 fired as well. After it flew round and around at high speeds like the golden arrow 410 had released, drawing a convoluted curve in the same manner, it smashed half of Rudolph's head in the same way as he looked at Natsuhi in shock, killing him instantly. This time, everyone managed to avoid freezing up mentally. They realized that a fearsome murder had started playing out right in front of them, just as Kinzo had said, and they realized that Kinzo would probably kill even more. Shrill screams burst out. Even so, they didn't know what to do, so they could only keep screaming and flapping their wide-open mouths like goldfish. Father, what do you think you're doing? You fool! Run now! As Eva asked Kinzo that in total shock, Hideyoshi, who had come to his senses faster than anyone else and risen to his feet, pulled at her arm from behind. However, merciless fate's choice for their third sacrifice was Hideyoshi. Just like the two before him, half of Hideyoshi's head was neatly smashed, and the right side of his head, which should have happened to be facing that direction at the time, had been blown away with its contents exposed like a watermelon or a pomegranate. So, still holding Eva, Hideyoshi slumped backwards and fell down. Still held by her beloved husband, Eva fell over backwards with him. Dear? Dear? Eva screamed. It was only natural. The face she had been looking for had been half lost, and the crushed skull, the mashed brains, and the crushed jaw all lay bare. 45. Impact. It's a hit. Spectacular. Fire again. 3 more remain. Father, what is supposed to be? When Kraus stood up hoarsely and was about to rush Kinzo, 0-0 blocked him. With her slender-looking body, she held by Kraus with just the palm of her right hand. He still tried to resist and attack Kinzo. 0 lifted Kraus by the nape of his neck and twisted into his Adam's apple with her thumb. It seemed to be very painful, and Kraus was overcome with agony. Everyone, run! Get the police! An ambulance! Quickly! Everyone, let's escape! Escape! Nando's sharp words finally dissolved the spell that had been holding them down in their chairs. When God and Kumasawa each tried to escape from the dining hall first, 410 moved in an instant and appeared there, blocking the way. Me? You sure are slow, me. Did you think I'd let you escape? Help me! Goda-san, duck! Even though Goda didn't understand, he crouched when he heard Kiri's sharp voice. Then a burst of air rushed above his head. Kiri had taken a big swing with a chair to mow 410 down. But 410, still with a mocking expression, easily caught that widely swung chair with a single hand. What a scary woman, yeah. You really want to go the same way as your husband that much? From the cuff of her arm where she had caught the chair, something like a shining gold snake appeared, wrapped itself around the chair and burst open. It was a fearsome power, like a vice, and Kiri realized that the being in front of her, which looked like a girl, was actually something that surpassed human knowledge and that a human could not even begin to oppose. Her head was filled with a fierce alarm bell that welled up from deep inside her. Genji, Shannon, and Cannon, All of the servants permitted to wear the one-winged eagle continued to stand calmly at attention by the wall, even with a scene like this before their eyes, making them look very bizarre and eerie. For an instant, Kiri thought that they'd managed to stay calm because they were with the enemy, and had been given a guarantee that they wouldn't be killed. But as soon as he thought that, the sight of Genji's face was blown away before her eyes. Genji-san! 45. Impact. It's a hit. Oh, Genji. How unfortunate. Rest in peace, my friend. Your death will not be wasted. You will become one of the 13 keys essential to the resurrection of my beloved witch. The half of Genji's expression that remained was as indifferent as ever. He tilted, fell over, and sent a blood-red splatter out across the floor. Genji-san. We're nothing more than that, than the witch's pieces. Nothing more. Nothing more. And the meek and frustrated, no, resigned expression on Shannon and Cannon's faces, one couldn't sense any naive hopes that they'd be rescued. That's right. Kinzo was, in the truest sense, carrying out these murders at random. In the truest sense, he was killing like it was a game to see who would be saved and who would be killed. Oh hell then. Who'll go for the next meal? Porten looked at Kiri for a second. In that second, Kiri was prepared for her own death. But when she readied her golden bow in midair, Porten was looking at someone else over Kiri's shoulder. So, as imprudent as it was, Kiri felt as though she had been saved. Again, an ugly exploding popping sound rang throughout the room. Who was it this time? When Kiri turned to face the direction of the sound, she saw blood gushing like a fountain, and Eva lying on her husband's chest. Of course, her face had been half smashed, just like her husband. Porten had mercilessly targeted Eva as she clung to her husband's corpse, sobbing. Let go of Nissan. Let go of Nissan. Just stop it, father. Just stop this brutality. Run away, Rosa. Rosa's objection didn't reach Kinzo as he continued to laugh loudly in the blood-splattered dining hall, and she wasn't able to lessen Krause's pain at being lifted up by the nape of the neck by Zero. So, Rosa had no choice but to use force. She lifted up a chair beside her and gave a warning. Father, order her to let go of Nissan. Just stop them from doing this. I cannot. If that is what you desire, then prevent it using your own power. Cut a path through to your own fate with your own hands. You who have always hid behind the backs of others in fear. Let me see you overcome your weakness one last time in your life. Father. The chair that Rosa had lifted up swung down at Father, who had resigned as a symbol of terror for her entire life. It was the greatest and final act of bravery and self-control in Rosa's life. What Kinzo had said might have been true. If she had grasped that courage much sooner, her life might have become more free, unrestrained by anyone else's. Then, there was a bursting sound. The sound of Rosa's chair fiercely hitting Kinzo could not have been this. With the chair still lifted up, she neatly lost half of her head and slumped over. Still holding Krause up with one hand, Zero had stuck her other hand out towards Rosa. The golden snake released from that arm had constricted Rosa in a helix and had smashed into her head. Defensive firing. I apologize for the discourtesy of shooting so close to you, sir. I care not. So this makes 6 people. Yes, Lord Goldsmith. This makes 6 people. When she indifferently communicated that, Zero let go of Krause, whom she had been lifting up this whole time. Indeed. So, the sacrifices of the first twilight for Eva, Rudolph, Rosa, Natsui, Hideyoshi, and Genji. It was a massacre that happened in an instant. The interior of the dining hall had been dirtied by blood splatter. and the 6 unlucky victims lay with their heads brutally exposed. In a way that was fitting for that abnormal space. Kinzo's abnormal laugh alone echoed out. The curtain has finally risen. The ceremony to revive Beatrice has begun. You lucky ones who have managed to escape the first twilight, allow me to introduce you to my friends. Arise, my friend, Ronove. When Kinzo called Ronove's name, the demon butler showed himself in midair, bowing respectfully. Pleased to meet you, everyone. And good day to those of you I haven't seen for a long time. It seems this place is once again spectacularly untidy. Pay it no mind. It takes a stimulant of this level to wake me from my daydream-like days. Allow me to introduce my friend, a reliable butler and one of the 72 great demons, Ronove. I am pleased to make your acquaintance. Just who was he talking, making that introduction to? Kraus and Kiri, who were still down on their backsides, and Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa, could only look up at this middle-aged gentleman they didn't know in shock. Only Shannon and Cannon seemed to recognize him, and they bowed deeply. So, I wasn't able to greet Kenji. I hope he was at least able to fulfill his purpose painlessly. It was an instant death from a direct hit to the head. He didn't have time to feel the pain. Is that so? Very well. Allow me to introduce another friend. Arise, my friend, Virgilia. Once again, a silhouette of someone the relatives didn't know appeared from empty space. He appeared in a refined dress while making an elegant greeting. Thank you for summoning me, Master. Although I would rather not have been summoned into a bloody place such as this. Allow me to introduce her too. This is both my friend and a reliable counselor, Virgilia. I desire to borrow your great power as the Witch of the Finite. Lend it to me. Even if I tried to refuse, such a thing wouldn't be permitted for one subordinated by the power of your summonings. As you wish, Master. Still, what a fearsome fellow. To think he summoned 3 of the Chiesa Sister Corps, then me, and even Virgilia. Even though it's only in the area of summoning, to think that he surpasses Milady so thoroughly. How frightening. I can't help but shudder at the Ushiramiya blood. In order to carry out Beatrice's resurrection ceremony, I shall give it my all as a summoner. This still isn't enough. In order to perfectly succeed in the ceremony this time, I shall summon more. The Pendragon Memorial Troops, and Ronove, and Virgilia. I can still call more. With my magical power, I can still call many more. Answer to my summons. One of the 72 demons. Gap! Gap? You could even materialize her? That probably means that the corrosion has advanced even more on this island. It had already proceeded far enough to materialize us. By now, we shouldn't be surprised, no matter how great a demon he summons. Has Rokkenjima already been completely sucked into a parallel world then? I hope he does not surrender. He learned a lot last time, correct? After all this time, he won't surrender over this much. Probably, I should say. Well then, shall we enjoy the stage we now stand upon? It seems the main character is the master this time. Let us expect a script of a different flavor than Milady's. Blue. When Kinzo strongly concentrated his magical power, a pale light gathered in the empty air, twisted, and a magic circle was drawn there with a deep red glow. I honestly shouldn't be surprised at this point. And with a sound like glass breaking, a new demon could be seen there. You did well to answer my call. Gap, one of the 72 great demons. This is one hell of a place you've summoned me to. Did you call me to clean up this blood-stained room, Goldsmith? The literally devilish woman, wrapped in venomous, ominous costume, looked at the scene, which should have made her cover her eyes, and twisted her mouth in a grin. To summon you for such a reason would be like using a cashmere muffler to mop the floor. It's been a long time, yeah. To think that a great demon such as yourself has finally appeared on this island. Perhaps this island is finally submerging completely into fantasy. This all-star cast is even more surprising than the gruesome state of the room. A full 3 Chiester sisters, the great demon Ranave, the great Witch of Rokkenjima, and even me. What's going on? Is this pandemonium? Are you trying to start a concert from hell or something? I see. As a conductor for that, I couldn't think of anyone better than you, Goldsmith. I will have your assistance as facilitator in the completion of my ceremony to resurrect Beatrice. You have no objections to my summoning contract, correct? Happy Maria. This is a weird episode. Of course not. There's no way I could resist the subordinating power of the legendary Great Summoner, Lord Goldsmith, who forced the famous Great Witch Beatrice to do his bidding. I'll assist you, although I will of course ask a fitting price. So, what's my first job? Capture the cowards who made it through the first twilight. Fortunately, there are still 7 here, aren't there? Nanjo, Shannon, Cannon, Goda, Kumasawa, Kiri, and Kraus. Oh, if these 7 are all offered as sacrifices, that's exactly 13 people. Until it's time for the second and later twilights to be carried out, throw them into the cage of sacrifices. And cashmere mouth, huh? Understood. As Gap shrugged her shoulders, she looked at Kraus, who was still down on his butt. She glared. Then, when she snapped her fingers, Kraus was swallowed up by the floor, as though a round pitfall had opened up beneath him. One down. There was no hole in the floor, but it had certainly looked as though Kraus had been swallowed up by a hole and disappeared. Searching for her next prey, Gap's gaze crossed Kiri's. She snapped her fingers. Kiri jumped back as though she repelled. Her instincts had been right. After all, in the place where she'd been until a second ago, a round jet black hole had appeared, the same kind that had swallowed up Kraus. However, before she could catch her balance, another pitfall appeared and swallowed her up. Even Kiri had no way of eluding Gap's capture. When she snapped her fingers again, a shocked Nanjo was swallowed up by the floor and disappeared. When she did it again, 410 let out a short yell and jumped back. This time, a slightly larger pitfall had opened, swallowing both Shannon and Cannon, who had been standing in a line by the door. But because 410 had jumped away from the door, the way was no longer blocked. Instinctively aware that he would be next, Goda dashed out through that door. Of course, Kumasawa also escaped with lightning speed, chasing after Goda. As Gap snapped her fingers over and over, round, jet-black pitfalls opened one after another behind them, chasing them. However, they did nothing but drive the recklessly fleeing pair away, and couldn't swallow them up. Goda and Kumasawa had escaped in a matter of seconds. I've gotten slow. I let 2 get away. Don't worry, we are currently locking onto the escapee targets. Data link ready. Nihi? Shall we snipe? No, I cannot authorize that. They are precious sacrifices. Wait for the Master's authorization. Great Lord Goldsmith, we await your orders. It is still too soon for the coming of the second twilight, is what the source of my magical power is whispering to me. It must not be now. Let them do as they please. It isn't as though they can escape from this island. The source of the Master's magical power is noise and risk and tests of luck. In other words, it means being fickle, it would seem. Perhaps you could also put it that way. Good work, Gap. Let us steadily advance the ceremony from here on. Well then, that is that. Next are my grandchildren. I will test them to see whether they are qualified to become my successor. Let's see. How shall I test their qualifications? If you decide that they're qualified, do you intend to abandon Beato's resurrection? Of course. And despite that, I will test them. Perhaps a woman cannot understand that contradiction, nor my madness. Well, apparently, men are as weird as ever. I don't get the very concept of playing around with risk. Oh my, I thought you loved that sort of thing. Of course. If a man whispers to me about dangerous risks in love, I'd go head over heels. But only if he's hot. Be quiet. Try to refrain from whispering. Truly noisy women. But at least they aren't boring. This is what makes summoning so pleasant. All of you will bear one side of the scales of noise and risk in my ceremony. That is the work I expect of you. 6 brutally murdered corpses lay in the dining hall, and it was contaminated with red, gruesome decorations. It was now unimaginable that, until just a second ago, 13 humans had been arranged here in a well-organized manner. Kinzo lined up the famous demons and their subordinates, loudly declared the beginning of a night of overwhelming mass murders, and swore to himself that he would certainly revive Beatrice and open the door to the Golden Land. Sorry to keep you waiting. Now the curtain finally rises on the first twilight. That's Kinzo. I see he loves being flashy as usual. So, even that man who can be more persistent than anything when he follows you around, can shine so when on the stage. Damn. Always killing in a grotesque way as usual. Smashing half of their heads. The bad taste you witches and demons have always pisses me off. Smashing half of their heads. I see. So, she's realized that in the games up until now, that's been the most ideal method of killing. Ideal? How is such a grotesque way of killing ideal? Isn't it though? Try and remember the very first game. You. So, you're that new demon or whatever that just appeared. Damn. So does this mean that the witch's corrosion continued, and there are now even more creeps wandering around? The more the witch's corrosion advances, the more Rokkenjima tilts towards the spirit world. That's why strange, insane people keep appearing one by one. This island has been closed off by the typhoon, so no human can leave it, much less appear as a new character to increase their numbers. But the more the corrosion advances, the more witches and demons can appear without limit, increasing one by one. By now, there might be more demons than humans among the characters, appearing in this insane tale. The numbers might be the thing that represents this mad corrosion. Yeah, I'm sure that's true. And the corrosion hasn't just affected the number of people, but apparently their fashion sense as well. If their corrosion advances any further and even more weird people appear, just what in the world will they be wearing? It's so scary, I can't imagine. Seriously, give me a break. Don't make these weird guys increase in number anymore. I can't do that. They'll keep increasing more and more. I'll defile the foolish closed circle rule humans speak of over and over again. Welcome to my elegant game, Gap. It's been a long time, Risha. Have you been well? Why do I ask? You look great. Have you gotten younger? You look 200 or 300 years younger than when I last saw you. Oh, I see. The demon grandfather had summoned and introduced his Gap, took a glance at me, and then grinned as though she'd figured something out on her own. That smile felt openly obscene. I guess she's Beato's friend, which means she's got to be a creep among creeps. By the way, they were saying something about a closed circle or whatever. But what does that mean? No idea. I have no ability to stream that high. Saying. Well, the bandwidth did reset, so we won't be using the good internet speeds at the moment, so I don't know. Serial murder mystery novels that occur in places isolated from the outside world, like Rokkenjima now, are sometimes called closed circles. Since such a place is isolated from the outside, it's like a circle that's closed. Therefore, in general, the characters and suspects are limited in number. Having new suspect candidates added on one after another from outside the circle goes against the etiquette of mystery novels. In other words, the witch is probably trying to desecrate humans and the mystery genre itself. You're Gretel? I see. You look like a wise kid. I love kids like you. You taste so sweet and tantalizing. Gross. Give the jokes to your clothing. It's Devilish Pretty's newest Jack the Ripper Christmas blood. Sorry for having a style that a country bumpkin from the human world couldn't understand, okay? At least we know it's well ventilated. Why don't you add a gap to the head part as well? Let a little air into your brain. Gap is always sensitive to the fashions of the spirit world. But this year's fad truly is bold. I think I'll order one sometime. For you, Rishi? I'd recommend Hallie Gray, Alice in the Graveyard. Let's go to 666 sometime soon to look at the clothes. You really should drop by the spirit world every now and then. It's reading at 720? Does the quality, like, change? It should be, 480, I think is the setting I have it set at. When this game is over, I'll be sure to do that. Still, your two opponents are pretty cute, Rishi. It looks like this kid has figured out the meaning of the corpses with their heads half smashed. You know what that is, girl? Just now, she told me to remember the first game. What does that mean? Body double. Just what it sounds like. Remember the first Twilight of the very first game, when the adults' corpses were found in the gardening shed with a magic circle drawn on it. Remember? Oh yeah, this was before I had the pod. Episode 1. The first Twilight. Kraus, Rudolph, Curie, Rosa, Shannon, and Goda. All 6 of them had their heads pulverized and died. At that time, there were 2 types of corpses. Some had their faces pulverized, and some had half their faces pulverized. That's right. The ones with their faces smashed were Rudolph, Curie, Rosa, and Goda. The ones with the sides of their heads smashed were Kraus and Shannon. At the time, I fictiously created 2 types of corpses, but I realized that the former, more atrocious type was actually disadvantageous for me. Disadvantageous for you? I see. That's what this is. That's right. The smashed faces might look atrocious, but that made it hard to confirm the identity of each person. For example, at that time, Uncle Kraus and Shannon-chan had their heads half smashed. That alone was atrocious enough, but because half of their faces remained, it was easy to confirm their identities. But Dad and the other 3 were different. Because his face had been completely destroyed, even I, as his son, could only guess by inference that it had to be Dad because of his clothes and the like. In short, it remained vague until the end whether that really had been Dad's corpse. If this reasoning battle had taken place during the first game as well, I would probably have claimed that since the identities of Dad and the rest's bodies were impossible to confirm, there was a possibility that one was a fake corpse. After all, Beato didn't state anything in red during that game. Well done, correct? A fake death is one of the basics of the mystery genre. Even if you make a doctor examine the corpse, you can't trust the results if you suspect him of being the culprit's accomplice. Therefore, corpses that can't guarantee a death for certain are always disadvantageous for the witch's side. You can suspect fake deaths for all corpses, hypothesizing that one or more of them is the culprit for the crimes that follow. It's a move Battler doesn't like, but it's the most elementary move to use against the witch. Yeah, that's right. That's why Beato started using the red. With the red truth, she can carry out the perfect autopsy. That's how it is. Normally, for the first Twilight, I would use the red truth right away, confirming the deaths of these 6. However, as you know, my battle strategy this time is the complete opposite of previous games, and I'll now use red truth's starvation tactics. Since you use it as a grounding from which to counterattack, I will not use the red easily. I'll make you come apart at the seams by using red in just a single place, as rarely as possible. In the end, it means I will permit all rants regarding your guest work for all the closed rooms, and I only have to smash one of those once with the red truth. Even though you've always teased me once I start counterattacking, you now hole up back inside your shell. Quit kidding around. At any rate, I do not want to use the red. I want to be stingy. I want to bully Battler. But how could I guarantee a death for certain without using red? I worried and worried over it. Then, the Gaff gave me an idea. It truly is a simple method. I just pointed out something obvious and you hit upon the idea, Risha. I simply said that you only had to create corpses whose identity could be distinguished and whose complete death would be understood. In short, I put those two things together. The face, which is necessary to distinguish their identity, and the pulverization of the head, the vessel for the soul, which is the perfect symbol of death. When I put those two parts neatly together, wonderful. I came up with the perfect answer of corpses with their heads half smashed. I'll bet you love 2-colored bread and 2-colored ice cream. You're just like a greedy kid. At any rate, even if half their heads are smashed, we shouldn't assume that they're dead at this point in time. I get it. Since Beto is trying to act tough and is refusing to say anything in red, we've got to suspect everything. Of course, I'm definitely not going to swallow the theory of magical mass murder by the Chester-esque Nason. You sure have gotten prudent. If this were the first game, you would have swallowed everything. I wouldn't have anything less from a rival. Since there is fortunately no red now, he can imagine whatever he wants and reason over and over again as he likes. At the very end, at the very sweetest spot, I'll cut him down at once with a red truth. Alright, this is gonna be a tough one. So, not only did she kill everybody in a way that we can irrefutably identify their deaths and their likeness, she kidnapped everybody else except for Goda and Kumasawa. Anyway, I'm not gonna start with the story. I'm gonna check out the biographies. There was Sakutaro from before, and Gav and the Chiesa sisters. Alright, let's start with Gav, I guess. That's not clothing, that's half a thing. One of the 72 great demons, also Beatrice's friend. When a magician demands it, she grants the ability of instantaneous movement. She uses this extraordinary power for playing pranks, mostly. Her specialty is hiding keys and bags during busy mornings. However, in the context of closed-room mysteries, this power becomes an ultimate weapon that can easily strike a finishing blow. Her queen bee strikes are likely to pierce any and all detectives, forcing them to surrender. We'll see about that. Jester 00. A weapon of the Sisters' Cavalry, which serves Pendragon. 0 is the calm and composed leader. However, this is merely the role demanded of her, since she's far more frail by nature. 0 excels at reconnaissance and serving as an advance guard, displaying extreme supremacy in unexpected encounters. However, her excessively powerful fighting strength has been called inhumane, and it isn't rare for her to be lynched and abused when she surrenders on the battlefield. Her one eye silently speaks to that. I think that's everybody on the Witch's Field. Julia, maybe? A now retired Endless Witch and Beatrice's teacher. She used the Endless Magic properly and devoted her life to the smiles and happiness of many people. She taught Beatrice the Endless Magic, believing that Beatrice would also devote herself to the people and retired. Though she was Beatrice's teacher, she was also a magician employed by Beatrice's family. For that reason, she interacted with Beatrice in a manner fitting for a servant. Some point of this as the sources of Beatrice's arrogance and recklessness. I think that's everybody we've already seen so far. Now for, I think, Angie's side, we have Sakataro. Sakataro, Maria Onei-chan's precious friend. Very simple, warm, and kind. Tends to say, Uryu. Didn't Maria Onei-chan also have a habit of saying this long ago? And I think that's everybody, other than the sisters, if we cycle through them. But there's too many for that for now. Especially all the different pages for all of them. That's too many sisters to count. Silent. Black. Cold. Painful. Rosa regained consciousness bit by bit, and the first thing she thought was that it would have been better if she hadn't. After all, with her body this cold and hurting, the pain grew the more her consciousness returned. It felt like she'd been sleeping on ice-cold marble in the darkness, lying face down for a long time. This is why I always tell myself, even if it's just for a nap, I've got to at least grab a sofa. I know that, if I naively try to close my eyes for just a second, and end up sleeping on the floor or in the study chair, it'll hurt my body later and make things difficult. Since I slept on such a cold and hard floor, even my bones are ice cold. Since I slept on such a hard and cold floor, the half of my face pressed down against it hurts a lot. If I were to look in a mirror right now, I'm sure I'd see an embarrassing mark. I didn't think that just rubbing it would make that mark disappear, but I stroked the hurting side of my face anyway, trying to smooth it over. I wonder where this is. I thought it was pitch black, but it looks like it isn't. After all, I can faintly see my own body. Without a doubt, there was some source of light, but even if I looked up at the ceiling, or else the sky, there was only an expanse of blackness, and I couldn't see proper light. My body alone was slightly lit, whereas everything else was sunk in darkness. That's what this world was like. It was almost as though Rosa alone had been abandoned in a forgotten world. As her mind grew clearer, she started getting nervous about why she was all alone in a lonely place like this. When she was about to call out, asking if anyone was there, she heard the patter, patter of footsteps coming towards her. They were light footsteps, so she thought it was probably a kid. She didn't sense anything disturbing, so she wasn't afraid. But they also weren't Maria's footsteps. So, wondering who in the world would be in a darkness like this, she stared in the direction the footsteps were coming from. As she did, a faint, approaching silhouette came into view. Any bets on who it is? I'm gonna say Berncastle. Nope. Dead wrong. It looked like a child, much younger than Maria. Who is it? I don't know this kid. But the expression on his face was like a lost child, separated from his parents. As a parent with a daughter herself, Rosa felt as though her chest had been torn apart. Who are you? The instant the kid muttered that infantile word, she felt pain in the half of her face that had started hurting from the cold floor, as though it had been pierced by long, thin, hard needles. Without thinking, she pressed her hand against the side of her face. Are you alright? Does it still hurt? Thanks. I'm fine, little guy. Where are we? It's really cold. Come this way. You mustn't stay here. That child took my other hand and pulled with a grim expression on his face. Rosa didn't have a clue what was going on. However, a single, honest expression on a child can often tell the truth better than 100 words from an adult. She didn't know the situation, but even so, she dashed along with him, still being pulled. But this was the world where nothing could be seen in the darkness except for their own forms. It didn't even really feel like she was moving forwards. Even though she was running, she couldn't even feel any wind. It was as though she was still inside a nightmare, that kind of unreal sensation. So even though I ran, I couldn't maintain my sense of balance. My legs got tangled and I fell. Even in a world that didn't feel real, the pain of smashing my face against the cold, hard floor was reality itself. Uryu, are you okay? I'm sorry. My head hurts. When the kid said that infantile word Uryu, pain like being stuck with needles ran through my head again. Even though it only happened twice, I was somehow able to understand that the child's word was the cause of my pain. So I said, so frankly, I'm sorry. Could you stop saying Uryu? Uryu. Wait a second. Didn't I tell you to stop? Uh, uh, sorry. I had the feeling that the child's apology caused a sharp pain in my forehead this time. What is this child? I know there's no malice in him, but when I'm around this child, my head hurts. Are you okay? Let's go, quickly. You mustn't stay here. Why shouldn't I be here? Hey, where is this? Who are you? Where's your mama? The one who made me. It's you, Mama. Huh? That child stared at me with round eyes. This kid's mama is me? Who? Who is this kid? I don't remember at all. Did you forget about me? You made me, right? Wait a second. Stop kidding around. Maria's my only child. That's right. Where's Maria? Where is she? Maria! I suddenly grew nervous about Maria not being there. Why am I all alone in a place like this? Where's Maria? I'm only able to be me because Maria's there for me. Maria's here, but she's not Maria now. It's better if you don't meet with her now. That's better for your sake, and Maria's as well. For Maria's sake as well. Escape. Huh? What are you saying? Where's Maria? Maria! Answer me! Maria's gonna find you. Come this way. Quickly, Mama. That child put on my hand again. He was probably pulling me in the opposite direction from Maria, but I stopped walking. Let go. Just who are you? What gives you the right to call me Mama? Mama is the one who made me. Did you forget? For Maria's birthday present. You made me with your own hands. Did you forget? You couldn't be. Maria's Sakutaro? Yes. The lion stuffed animal Mama made. Kid! A fierce, sharp pain struck me. It came from the palm he had grasped with his hand. I knocked his hand away without thinking and looked at the palm. A hole the size of a thumb had opened there, and deep red blood gushed out. It was a hole so big that I could see through the other side. Uryu, are you okay? Are you okay? What's wrong? Sakutaro noticed my wound and panicked. As far as I could tell by looking at him, he couldn't understand why my hand had sustained a serious injury. But in my eyes, it felt like I'd been injured because he grabbed my hand. Regardless of whether there was malice in him, I understood that this child was something that would do harm to me, and he instantly seemed eerie. Go away. You have nothing to do with me. Sakutaro was just a disgusting, crappy, stuffed animal, right? I don't know you. I'm not your mama. Go away. Disappear. You. Slowly, the base of Sakutaro's neck was sliced in a horizontal line. It gaped open, and pitch black insides peeked out. No, blood poured from it. Only an empty blackness peeked out. Then, from the insides of the gash, cotton snow poured out, and as bits of cotton scattered, he slumped over. Then, all that remained was a crumpled yellow cloth, and bits of cotton that looked like sticky, crushed cotton candy. A lion, stuffed animal. Without a doubt. These were the remains of the Sakutaro stuffed animal I tore apart on that day, all overcome by emotions. The instant I realized that, a long, sharp shriek that could rupture an eardrum tore the world apart. Sakutaro! Sakutaro! Like a flood from a broken dam, or like a broken TV, Maria cried out in a high-pitched voice. Her voice, which made the ears throb, brought up two emotions in me. One was regret. Yeah, I was overcome by emotions and went overboard. It was a mother's desire to kneel down right away, hold Maria's head, cry with her and apologize. In actual fact, I did that right away. I held Maria's head and apologized, crying. But Maria didn't stop crying. On the contrary, she rejected me, the one who had torn her closest friend apart and pushed me away forcefully with both hands. I had been on my knees in an unnatural position, so I fell backwards easily. Maria scraped together the yellow scraps of cloth and cotton bits, buried her face in them, and cried even more. Watching that, another emotion welled up. It welled up rapidly, and then it burst. After all, she refused to make up with me even though I'd apologized. There was nothing else I could do now anyways. It was all Maria's fault in the first place. Since she's too busy playing with stuffed animals all the time like this, she can't make any friends, and that's why people treat her like a freak. This is a perfect opportunity to give her some instructive guidance. After all, it's not like I was pampered all the time. Everything eventually breaks, is stolen, is destroyed by someone. Even I had lots of toys and treasures stolen, broken, mocked, and thrown away by my brothers and sisters and father and mother. But when I cried about that, while I might have shed a few tears, not once did I sob like this and trouble my parents, throw a tantrum, get mad, hit the floor and kick and make a racket. Even though I always wanted to, I thought I'd get more trouble if I did, but I always held it back. It's because I held it back that I was able to become the wonderful adult I am now. At that moment, I felt something strange. The same feeling as when you use a tool recklessly and it finally breaks, so that only the base is left. But I wasn't using a tool. I'd just been repeatedly hitting Maria's head with both hands. So I looked at my hands. From my wrists onwards, my hands had broken off, splintered, and disappeared, as though only that part of my arms had become ceramic. No, as though all of me from the wrists onwards had suddenly become ceramic, and had broken and fallen. They must have gotten filled with cracks because I hit Maria too much before falling off. After all, look, aren't both of my wrists lying smashed by my feet? There was no pain, but the shocking sight of my hands breaking off from the wrists onwards made me scream. What is this? What is this? My hands! My hands! My hands! This way, you won't be able to hit me anymore. Ignoring my confusion, Maria spoke with an icy voice, slowly moving her hands away from her head, where they had been defending against my barrage. What's happening? My hands! My hands! What did you do, Maria? What is this? What on earth is this? Behind Maria's back, a black silhouette had appeared. It was the silhouette of an adult. Who? If she used those hands for patting her daughter's head, flipping through picture books, or making warm meals, it may have been worth leaving them on. Mama hit my head more than she patted it. She never opens picture books. She doesn't even make me food. I go to buy it myself. But I mustn't go to the same store more than once. Mustn't have my face remembered. Mustn't talk to the policeman. Why? Why is that? Is it my fault? Am I not allowed to have Mama pat my head, have picture books read to me, or eat dinner with Mama? Why not? Why not? I didn't do anything wrong. It isn't my fault. It's Mama's. Mama's fault. Mama wouldn't play with me, but Sakutaro did. He even read books, watched TV, and ate meals with me. It was a much better friend than Mama's was. I'm not proud of it. But what am I supposed to do? I'm busy with work. Work, I tell you. You know that, right? It was unavoidable. There's nothing I can do. True enough. It was unavoidable. Unavoidable that you'd injure your daughter, tearing her heart apart and making her tears run with blood. In that case, there's no avoiding the same thing happening again. Right here, right now. Come, Maria. Enough of the excuses from a woman who calls herself a mother. Can you forgive her, or not? Is she innocent, or guilty? I won't forgive her. Mama's guilty. I'll make Mama meet the same fate she gave to Sakataro. Take Mama from the seam at the neck and tear her apart so we can see the cotton inside her. Maria's eyes ominously flashed blue. In that instant, invisible, massive arms stuck their fingernails out and tightly grasped Rosa's entire body. As the bones all over her body made a sound like twigs being stepped on, they cracked readily and broke apart. Rosa had understood vaguely. The massive arms were probably her own arms, from the time she'd torn Sakutaro apart. From a stuffed animal's perspective, her arms certainly would have been this massive. So she could imagine what would happen next. The sharp nails stuck deep into the base of her neck, and she heard the skin tearing with her own ears. Then, as the two witches watched over her, Rosa's flesh was split in two, top and bottom. When Sakutaro had been torn apart, bits of cotton had flown about like snowflakes. But in Rosa's case, something like black, thick tar came out, filthily flying all over the place. There wasn't even a trace of the red blood. It was something black, filthy and thick. It was probably what a bloodless, tearless human kept inside their bodies. This is incredible. Hideous. What filthy insides. Splendidly done, Maria. Well then, is this enough for your revenge? Can you forgive your mother, or not? Innocent or guilty? I can't forgive her. Still can't forgive her. She's guilty. When Beatrice brandished her pipe cane, gold butterflies peeped up and restored Rosa's broken flesh in an instant. Feel the depths of your sin, which cannot be repaid by a single human life, and remember your own great sin. Come, try and remember. Remember the scale of your sin. Hello. Is it Mama? When will you get home? I'm sorry. I'm busy with work today, so I'm staying over. You're staying over for work again? Looks like work is tough for you again today, Mama. Yeah, sorry. I really am busy. I'll be holed up in the company the whole time. I can't even get a breath of outside air. Mama just can't finish her job quickly this time. Unless they give them a better design, they won't be given another job. That's how tough this work is. So I'll just have to take some time. Yeah, I understand. I'll be a good girl and watch over the house. So do your best at work, finish it quickly, and come back, okay? Thank you for understanding about Mama's word. I promise I'll buy a delicious cake tomorrow and take it home. I don't need cake. Instead of taking time to go to the cake store, I'd be happier if you came home that much sooner. Don't worry, I'll come back quickly. I promise. Let's have some delicious cake together. Let's drink delicious tea together. Let's read a new picture book together. Let's play with that wolves and sheep puzzle I bought the other day. Both of us, together. I promise. Yeah, promise. I'll be waiting. Do your best at work, Mama. Yes. Oh, it's a lonely story, but isn't this mother-daughter love wonderful? With both looking out for the other. Do you see any problem with it, Maria? Rosa? I kept that promise, didn't I? The next evening, didn't I do as promised? Buying a cake and returning earlier than usual? That's not it. I knew. That evening, a pay-on-delivery package came from Mama, but there wasn't enough money in the wallet. So I called Mama's company to ask what to do. I was told only to call at special times, but I thought it'd be bad as the package was something important for Mama's work. So I called. Then I was told that Mama had the day off. I was told that it had been decided long ago that Mama would have that day off, and that she'd gone far away to play. I knew. The whole time. I knew Mama was lying. But you know what? Sakutaro scolded me, saying that it wasn't true. Every day, Mama was very busy with work. There's no way she'd abandon Maria and play. He said that the person who told us Mama had the day off must have made some kind of mistake. That's what Sakutaro said. So I believed it. I believed it. I love Mama. Love her. Of course, Mama says that she loves me. Loves me. Yes. Me too. I love you, Maria. Rosa let out a deep sigh. Maybe she felt the weight of her words. Then she set the receiver on the bedside, phone down. The dark room made the starry sky on the ground below the window stand out even more beautifully. On the table in front of the terrace was a very cold wine cooler, and the one she shared a glass with was gazing at the scene below. You didn't tell your daughter you were on vacation? I told her once, but she was so noisy that I decided not to tell her anymore. It's less work that way. If you worry about your daughter, you didn't have to force yourself to put this in your schedule, right? And that way, we'd never get our schedules to match. Didn't I say not to worry about that? The slender, middle-aged man clad in a white robe gave a small sigh. Rosa reacted instantly to that slight action. Come on, let's not talk about my daughter. It'd be a waste of this precious wine. I find you fascinating as both a woman and a human being. But for that very reason, I feel bad about taking so much of your time that strains your relationship with your daughter. Don't I always tell you not to worry about my relationship with my daughter? I try not to talk about her when I'm alone with you, okay? I wouldn't even have phoned her from here if it weren't for the noisy drunk laughing stupidly in the lobby downstairs. Rosa-san, can't you reconsider taking sudden vacations like this in the future? For your daughter's sake? Isn't it enough if we only meet when our schedules match? Our schedules will never match up that way, right? And I always want to be with you. That's a child's way of loving. Loving between adults should be a little more stoic. Not being able to be with you for long periods of time makes me lonely too. However, I think we enjoy more than enough adult loving during that limited time. So you're telling me to go be with my daughter more. Be a mother, not a woman? That's what you want too, right? You must also want to spend lots of time with your daughter. I won't run away. I'm trying to say that I think it's sad for you to sacrifice your daughter, so you can prioritize your time with me. Did you get back on good terms with your wife? Looks like you've had enough of being separated from her. I don't want to talk about my wife, just like you don't want to talk about your daughter. I'm sure you think single women with children are a pain. I've never said anything of the sort before. Whenever someone finds out I have a child, they desert me. Even if I tell them not to worry about paying that child's living expenses, they all desert me. I thought you understood about my daughter. But I guess you don't like single women with children after all. That's not what I'm saying. I haven't started to dislike you, Rosa-san. I'm just trying to tell you to take better care of our daughter, something I know you wish for yourself. And I don't want you to hurt yourself by lying to her. That's all I'm saying. Liar. I've just become a bird for you, right? That's not what I'm saying. No, I know. I understand. After being abandoned so many times because of that child, I know. I can tell by your mood. Yes, you're already like those other men. You don't want a woman with a child. You don't want a divorcee, because that's a pain. You don't want to become the parent of a child made with another man, right? Yes, that's right. I totally get it. I once went out with a man with children, so I really get how you feel. That's why I believed you'd be able to get together with you. A person who understood about my daughter. That's right. You were always in the way. If only you didn't exist, I would have been able to grasp my happiness as a woman long ago. Because you exist, you were always in the way of my happiness. Oh, God. Even I didn't want you to be born. No, that's not it. I thought I might be able to build a happy family together with you. But that man disappeared right after your birth. He said he'd build a warm family with me, tricked me, then disappeared from my sight for all eternity. Only you were left. No love or memories or anything remained. Where did that man go? He probably just turned my days with him into a warm memory and met with a new love. And this time, he might have been able to create a happy family. And as for me, I have you. I can't even look for a new love. Men can go between women as they like and brag about it. But for a woman, for me, I have you. I have you as a stone weight. And because of you, I can't search for romance. I can't find love, and I can only live alone. No, I wasn't even allowed that. I wasn't even allowed a night to drink myself drunk all alone. Who are you? Who? You wasted my life, and won't even let me have a new life. Just who are you to my life? Die. Disappear. I've hated you since the time you were born. I've hated you since the time you were in my womb. I've been doing my best to act like a good mother so I'd be accepted by the outside world. Yes, I've done my best. As I watched other women of my generation praise being single, sometimes playing with passion or even enjoying with someone in love, I was stuck being both a mother and a woman. Whoever showed appreciation for my efforts. No one admired me. No one praised me. I got what I deserved. Second-hand goods. Divorcees should die. You don't want anyone who's not a virgin. I'm the one who doesn't want anything to do with you. You damn inexperienced virgin brats. I was so desperate. I probably looked like an easy woman to you. Yes, I was desperate. You probably couldn't imagine how desperate a woman like me, who's still at the age where she wants to know love, was, when I realized that my time was being filled with work and caring for my child, so that I'd probably grow old and end my life still like this. Of course I hate your real father, too. Well, but we both share the blame for bringing about that catastrophe. I myself might have been persistent enough to make him run away. But that catastrophe after that were all your fault. When did I ever scold you for that? Never, right? The day after one man left me, when I wanted to drink myself dread dunk, was Parents' Day at your school. When I tried to hide my tear-stained eyes with heavy makeup, the way I felt when you said something off the mark and the whole class laughed at you, is something that not only you, but probably everyone in the world couldn't understand. I hate you, loathe you, and until now I'll never really loved you even once. Yeah. Maria's face was still stiff. If the words really had been blades, Maria's whole body would probably be stained red with fresh blood by now. Even after gaining the power of a witch and resolving herself to take revenge in Sakataro, she couldn't stand these curses coming out of her mother's mouth. Mama. Ugly. How ugly is a woman drowning in lust. Now you see this woman's true nature. Even I, as a witch who has explored the depths of you, find this most difficult to watch. Maria, now is the time to part from her. Smash the ugly lump of meat that calls herself your mother. It would be pointless for your pure soul to be bound by the chains between mother and daughter any longer. With your own hand, release your own soul now. You have now gained the tooth and claw to protect yourself. Now you taste the pain I had to go through. Now I'll take revenge for those days of suffering. Aren't you the one who's been hurting me? I'm the one who wants revenge. I should have done that before you were born. If only you hadn't been born. Disappear! As Rosa howled in a way that can only be described by the word splat. Her upper body was crushed, and in an instant became something similar to a wrung, blood-stained towel. Be crushed. I can't forgive you. Can't forgive you. What filth. That form suits you. Even though Rosa's waist and below was standing normally, just the upper half of her body had been pinched, and that extreme contrast was bizarre. Then she fell over, but the instant she fell, her body was restored. You die. Come, Maria. Is this the limit of your anger and sadness? Now is the time for revenge. Time for the settlement of anger and sadness. Hit her, spit it out. Push out all the wedges driven into your chest, and fling them back at her. Maria's howl was adorned with the ugly sound of flesh and bone being crushed at the same time. As Rosa, who had foully insulted Maria, lay spread-eagled, a neat, perfect circle was cut out of her chest and crushed, as though her chest had been trampled by an invisible elephant. Her heart and her lungs and her ribs were trampled so mercilessly that were completely indistinguishable. It might have symbolized the pain in Maria's heart up until today. So, Maria, are you satisfied now? Can you forgive your mother for her sin? Or not? Innocent? Or guilty? I can't forgive her. Not yet. Not yet. Mama's guilty, 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 guilty. Can't forgive her. Indeed, how could this level of punishment compare to the bitter days she suffered through? Know it, Rosa. Come, try to remember. What form did you have? Revived in order to be killed. Be killed over and over so that your sins can be purified. When Beato waved her cane, the body was restored again, and Rosa sat up coughing violently in apparent pain, and once again she spat out curses rejecting Maria. You aren't Mama. You're a witch tormenting me and Mama. I won't forgive you just because you look like Mama. I won't forgive you. You're the witch, aren't you? Always reading creepy books and pretending to play with witches. You're the one who should disappear. Because of you, even I'm treated like a freak. Because of you. If you hadn't been born, don't be born. I've hated you since before you were born. Maria screamed. She was made unable to bear her anger and sadness, or else had she been taken over by an indescribable emotion. It was surely a cry of hopelessness. And yet, it was a reality that had to be accepted. Maria knew. She knew that she was thought of as a burden, but even though she herself had known that, she didn't believe it. She believed that her mother loved her, and had done her best to positively interpret several events that could have made her doubt this, trusting and clinging to her mother's love. But she had no one except Mama. Even so, she really did like Mama, and wanted to return to the days when she believed that Mama loved her. So I howled. I'll erase all of it. I won't accept it. I'll deny it. I'll deny the mother who says these things, the black witch who makes her say them, and the part of myself that can't forgive my mother. But I can't deny it. This is reality, fact, the truth, the answer. Without any mistake, this is absolute reality. Maria turned Rosa into a lump of meat over and over in the dark world that reflected her heart, rang the ugly sound of flesh and bone being torn apart, which would make anyone want to cover their ears. Each time Beatrice revived Rosa, she dragged her back into the world of endless torture, which could not be escaped from even by death. This was the true, deepest hell that the endless witch Beatrice could create. However, this world was not made endlessly by Beatrice's will, because every time Rosa turned into a lump of meat, she asked the same question to Maria. Are you satisfied, Maria? Can your anger forgive your mother yet? How could I forgive her? How could I forgive her? I won't forgive her. I'll teach you all my pain. Teach you much, much more. It's still not enough. Not close to enough. Since I was born. Since before I was born. I can't get rid of the anger and sadness of being neglected so long. I hate you. I hate you. Revive over and over again. Return to a meat lump over and over again. In various ways she crushed, smashed, beat, and tore to bits. Flying blood splattered, and flesh turned at once pitch-black world into a world with mixed red and black. Maria's anger still hadn't calmed down. It was as though she was spitting out all of the suppressed rage from the time of her birth until today. And that all became poison to her heart. Then would the repeated murder of her mother purify her soul? Would even this wasteful murder save her soul, at least a little bit? This endless torture might have become a slight diversion from her sad, unrewarded life. After all, it seemed that she'd finally been able to regain her smile. Learn it. You, the source of my unhappiness. Learn it. Learn that what you're feeling is nothing compared to my pain. What's wrong? Why'd you stop laughing? Try and laugh. Half of her skull collapsed. Eyeballs flew out and black cranial fluids gushed. Fragments of teeth scattered. Come on, revive. Try and laugh. Come on, come on. Her whole chest, along with the ribs, turned inside out, exposing her filthy innards. All of them writhed like some kind of impure creature. Come on, come on, come on! Revive! Can you still laugh? Can you still laugh? Rosa couldn't laugh anymore, but her face was laughing. It was filled with a twisted laugh and covered with a malice that rejected her unwanted daughter. I erased that laughing voice. Next, I'll erase that laughing face. I'll erase it. I'll crush it. I'll tear it to bits. Laugh. Try and laugh, Mama. What's wrong, Mama? Let's wake up, read a picture book, and go take a walk. Let's say we love each other. Make a promise for next Sunday. Let's go shopping. Let's go to the movies. And of course you'll break that promise. Isn't it fun, Mama? Isn't it fun, Mama? I'm playing with Mama now, right? That's right. You're now playing with your mother, having fun with her. Tell me how you feel right now. I don't believe it's anger or sadness or pain. Yeah, that's right. I get it, Beatrice. I'm having a lot of fun now. I'm playing with Mama, so it's tons of fun. And even though I'm killing Mama over and over again, she can be revived with just a single bit of magic. I took care of my toys because I couldn't fix them if they broke. But if the toy could be fixed, I'd want to break it over and over again. But Sakataro won't be fixed. He can't be fixed. Because Mama, who made him, Mama who gave birth to him, won't acknowledge him. I wasn't acknowledged by Mama either, was I? But the broken Maria won't be fixed either. Oh, that's fun. That's fun, Mama. Since you got so fun, I'm starting to feel that I could forgive you. Hey, Beto, this is a very strange feeling. Why? Why am I starting to feel like I can forgive Mama? That enlightened state is only reached by witches who have gained the power to control life and death at will. You can kill at any time. You can revive her if needed. If that's a pain, then it's alright to kill her again. Once you've learned that you can do this at any time by simply snapping your fingers, all nonsense spoken in the world of humans becomes the chirping of insects that isn't worth listening to. You didn't begin to think about forgiving your mother because your eyes were open to your mother's love. It is because now, you stand at the entrance to the world of true witches. Welcome, Maria, to the profound and sweet world of witches. I've done it. Maria is no longer Maria. I may still be an apprentice, but I surpassed the human world. I am now the apprentice witch of origins, Maria. There's nothing to frustrate me, nothing to make me sad. Mama, I'll forgive you. I'm sure I can forgive you. I think I'll be able to forgive you after doing just a bit more. After all, I'm a witch. Maria would probably forgive her mother eventually, after brutally murdering her countless times, graciously. Well then. That was a thing. I wanted to give that scene justice, so I didn't pause to read comments. So give me a second to scroll through these. I see that a lot have piled up here. Aye. Rose making it really hard for one not to hate her right now. Yeah. Why would you not want to hate her? I didn't care about her since the beginning. She was, at the beginning, I was willing to give her the benefit of the doubt to say she had a bit of hope for the future. She was still wrong, but she would have to go through the process of correcting that, or the right to forgiveness, or whatever you want to call. But she has completely, utterly rid herself of that right. She is now cemented in the hate category. Don't think I hate any of the Ushimiyas except Kinzo. Seriously, fuck that guy. Only care about Maria, huh? Most of the other Ushimiya's twisted character traits were the result of Kinzo being a tyrant father. At least how I see it. And that's how I guess was trying to treat Rosa. She got, like, emotionally beat up initially, and that caused her to be defective. And she's might have been working her way towards the good side, but she just kept going in the same direction. But yeah, I was trying to see that as the other Ushimiyas, Eva, Kraus, and Rudolph were all emotionally traumatized, just flat out, and they handled it in different ways. I think Rudolph may have handled it the best way of all of them, just the lesser of all the evils, I guess. He seems the most okay, but he also has the least backstory of anybody, so I can't answer that. But the other ones, Eva, she became obsessed with being acknowledged. Kraus as well, but he became a superiority complex for everybody except for his father. It's not forgivable, but that's how I see it. It's true, but then they became adults too and were able to make their own choices, and that is one of the key factors. At a certain point, it's no longer their father's fault or somebody else's fault. They have chosen to make those decisions and continue to do so. It's all on them. And that's the point where the sympathy is cut off. It's like, okay, no more. It's all you. You suck. Or whoever it is. It's true. Can a person be truly free of their past? Personally, don't think so. Most children forgive that and grow up to the abuse despite hating it themselves. True. If it's unrealistic they're not fit to have a child, they should not have one. It's the least they can do. Well, here's the question. Does their past absolve them of all responsibility going into the future? Every choice they make, oh no, that was the past. Oh no, that was somebody else's fault. Oh no, that was that. You should forgive them for this. There is a balance. People who've been through trauma, you gotta give them a little buffer room, because they aren't quite right in the head, healthily speaking. So you gotta give them a bit of room to work their way back to normal. But if they just, like, stay in that state and refuse to move from there, then you can't give them that doubt. It's all them. They are making the choice to be like that. They are consciously making the choice to be there. At that point, you can't forgive them. It's their choice, their responsibility, and they need to have the consequences of their actions. Not fit to be, they should not have one. It's the least they can do. Yeah, and that is one that bugs me. People who, well, let's have a kid. No, I don't want it anymore. That's not how it works. Because it seems like she's far too naive, not mature enough mentally. Yeah. And it's a trait of not mature people to take on things they can't be properly responsible about later, such as kids or pets. There is that, but they have the responsibility to learn. If they refuse to learn, they refuse all forgiveness, pity, shame, whatever the word is, I can't think of it. She could have given up Maria up for adoption at any point. Instead, she chose to keep her and abuse her. And yeah, there is that. At the very worst, if you don't want a kid, you can put them up for adoption. It isn't really... It's a bad thing to do. But the worst thing to do is keep them and abuse them. It's a really bad situation to be in. But yeah, orphanage is super brutal. I can't speak with certainty on that. I have a relative, I won't say who, but they were through a orphanage, foster homes, and it was not nice to them. Yeah, contradicts that sharply. Yeah, and that's it. Uh, that right there is strangely. The most messed up thing is living with a parent saying they love you and then doing things that contradict that sharply. It's I always in a lot of situations like this, not emotional stuff, but big ones. I always think back to Karate Kid. It's a really weird analogy, but when he's talking to me, like, yeah, I can learn a bit of karate. It's like, no. Uh, uh, Karate like walking down street. Walk down sidewalk, learn karate, yes. Learn karate, no. Walk on the other side of the sidewalk, okay. Learn karate, yeah. Run over by car. Basically, go full on it. If you love them, love them. If you don't love them, don't love them. Sitting in the middle is torment. It's like, oh yeah, I love you. Now go away and go disappear, die. Oh wait, but I love you. Wait, die. That sends very mixed messages, causes a hell of a lot of problems, and nobody's being honest. If you love them, you wouldn't tell them to die. If you told them to die, you wouldn't love them. Kind of one or the other deal. And having it midway just makes everything a mess. George is 23. George is 23 here? The circumstances are not your average family. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. I tend to believe I have a good grasp on some of that stuff. I will fully admit I'm quite oblivious to a lot of things. Um, it may be happening, but if I can see a spark or something, then I can kind of piece together bits and pieces. George is 23. I want to say I doubt that because he's being treated as a kid and put in the kids' room, and the adults, and they specifically said adults and kids. Maybe he's 23 in the Answers version? He survives or something? 23, that's... Well, he is also starting to run his own business, sort of thing. I wouldn't doubt that, but I don't believe it at the moment. That's weird. But yeah, George seems to be the kid who came out the best. And I think in that regard, Eva truly does love George and is trying to make him a good kid. Alright, yeah. I think Eva does love George truly and fully, but she also has, like, she wants him to succeed her so she can, and kind of treating him as a neener type of thing. But yeah, you know, let's see if it's here. George, no name. Well, maybe just because Battler's so tall that I get them similar. Affable young man, liked everyone in the family, currently studying assistant for his father's company, and it seems he dreams of making it his own one day. Okay, alright, I can see it. An assistant for his father's company. That's not necessarily a 16-year-old kid type deal or what have you. I guess, alright. We can go with that. I'd be able to take care of Maria. Maybe with some financial help. Yeah, there's stuff like that. I bet he would, but then there comes the whole issue of family first, and then guardians. Maria is Rose's kid. She is her daughter, and yeah, at this point, Maria should have been taken away from Rosa. I will agree on that. But that also goes into a hell of a huge can of worms with taking daughters or sons or whatever from parents who actually are caring for them for malicious reasons. I don't like you, so I'm gonna take your daughter away because I don't feel you're caring for them. Stuff like shit like that has happened. Which is, yeah, a whole nother means of horribleness. Yeah, there's 10 tons of gold. He might pull it off. Maybe. Better get on something and get past real. Very soon. Even like a little alimony. And all of these problems could be solved simply if you just, like, you want a gold bar? Here's a gold bar, here's a gold bar, here's a gold bar. There we go, everybody's happy. Don't come back. Anyway, that's gonna be it for today. Oh, and I said I wanted to start a little habit with this little book, and then immediately forgot to do it the second day. Let's see what the next little quote thingy is. I'm just gonna go straight to the book. I have no idea if any relevance to any of this. I'm going this blind. And it's the book Notes on Love and Courage. We need other people, not in order to stay alive, but to be fully human. To be affectionate, funny, playful, to be generous. How genuine is my capacity for love if there is no one for me to love, to laugh with, to treat tenderly, to be treated by? I can love an idea, or a vision, but I can't throw my arms around it. Unless there is someone to whom I can give my gifts, in whose hands I can entrust my dreams, who will forgive me my deformities, my aberrations, to whom I can speak the unspeakable, then I am not human. I am a thing, a gadget that works, but has no ashes. That's creepily relevant. I'm not kidding, that is page 2. You can't read it, but that is the second bit. I swear I'm not lining any of this stuff up. But that'll be it for today. That was the thing. And yeah. Oh, before I forget, I will be ordering up the microphone. I'm gonna try and see if I can order it up today. I need a little bit more math before I can guarantee I can, but I'll be going to work trying to order it up with the gift card, get a discount, maybe save a bit of money. I won't be able to use it because I won't have the box that goes to it, but I'll have a microphone, and I'll open that up when it gets here. Oh yeah, that one too. I looked into it. For whatever reason, I couldn't remember the name of it, but it was the hyenas and jackals. I like the look of them. And the fact that they kind of laugh. It's a unique sound, and I like them. I don't know. There's also a lot of art of turning them into gnolls and stuff, and those have been pretty cool. And there is also turtles I've always been fond of. And for some reason, I forgot them. I don't know how. I grew up with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I've always loved turtles. Pretty cool. My favorite one was Donatello. Bowstaff. He was a smart guy. But yeah, those were some of the ones I forgot. And like, I knew there was ones, but I just couldn't remember the name of it. You had me on the spot. But yeah, if you're going with anything, those are what I would go with, I guess, along with the other ones I said. All right, well, cool. Yeah, I need to update. I need to update everything. Well, there's one other thing I'll talk about. I am not good at social media, just flat out. I can do it, but it takes me a long time, and I struggle with it. And honestly, I don't like doing the social media aspect part of it. I don't like bragging about the cupcake I'm eating. That's not me. So I was wondering, at least putting out an offer. Would any of you like to run my social media? Not Twitter, YouTube, maybe just one of them itself, what have you. That would be like so helpful to me. You have no idea. It's an offer. Nobody has to take it, and I'll keep doing it as is. But figured I'd toss it to you guys if you want. Anyway, but with that, I do need to get out of here. You can get back to me in like Discord or what have you. Now, it's nothing immediate either. It's just think about it, whatever. I've got other stuff to sort out too in the meantime.